guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to be discussing how the upgrades have gone. I've recently been on a road trip to Wales. We had planned to film that, unfortunately it didn't work out, so you've got just to put up with me driving around Cambridgeshire. So how did it go? Well, prior to the road trip we did have some issues to stress me out a bit, but essentially what I was noticing is that high RPMs, the car was holding back, so it wasn't giving me full power. So I did a log with the Engineering software and sent that off to Engineering, and they got back to me quite quickly and basically said that they noticed that their safety software was kicking in on cylinder 5 and basically holding the power back. Now, for those of you who don't know, Engineering software, the safeties on their software, that kicks in much quicker than OEM as a precautionary measure. And the software had noticed that the car was starting to run rough on cylinder 5. And they said to me basically that the ignition system on the engine, on Mclaren engines, is not particularly durable. Now, I didn't know this, but now I've since researched it, and yeah, that tends to be the case. Most people in the know recommend that you replace the ignition system, i.e. the ignition coils, about every 10,000 miles. And my car is circa 8 years old and done 40,000 miles. And as far as I'm aware, it's never had the ignition coils replaced. So that, combined with the fact that it was now running considerably more power, means that it had overstressed the system, and no doubt one of the ignition coils was starting to pack up when it was under heavy load. So I got it booked in with Sam at Renworks, top guy, and Steve stepped in from Engineering, supplied me with the part number. I quickly found out that if you go through Mclaren and buy a set of genuine Mclaren coils, then you're looking at the best part of £1,000. However, if you can get the Bosch part number, as Steve supplied me with, they're literally just £35 each. And because of that, I decided that we might as well replace the whole set, because it was going to be about £400 in labour anyway to get into the GT. So we did that. That fixed the problem. Amazing. But Sam had noticed when he was test driving the car that he was getting some brake judder, and he diagnosed that my front discs had become warped. Now, I don't know how that's happened exactly. Maybe because I've been driving the car faster and it's got that much more power now. But essentially, yeah, big problem. Fortunately, because of a previous project where I replaced the disc bells, I had purchased a cheap second-hand set of discs from eBay, and having measured them with my calipers, they were almost at new thickness despite a load of corrosion. So pulled those out of the garage, cleaned them up, gave them to Sam, we swapped them out, and it fixed the issue. So a bit of a win there, and I feel vindicated somewhat as a hoarder that I kept those discs, because obviously it saved me about another £1,000. So how did the car perform on the road trip? Well, all I can say is it is now pretty much faultless. No issues, runs perfectly smoothly, just with an immense amount of power on tap, no let up. As you press the throttle down, it just kind of keeps going and going. Where it differs from stock map stroke power levels is that it just continues to give the higher up the rev range you go. Other people on the trip commented that it sounds awesome as well, so we had 3 600 LTs and a couple of Lotuses, and the turbo swoosh is much more noticeable, and in general the exhaust sounds more aggressive. You do get the occasional pops and bangs on up and down shift sometimes, which is quite a nice little touch. So just a more aggressive sounding beast, and just an absolute pleasure to drive, really. Yeah, I just really made up with it now. And for those of you who watched my main biggest upgrade video, part 3, about all the trials and tribulations I went through to get here, you know, it seems kind of worth it now, really. With the way the car performs is just insane. So next upgrade I think is definitely going to be some new brakes. I can't decide whether I want to go carbon or for something bigger in iron yet. That's something I'm currently deliberating, but it will definitely necessitate a swap out of my rotors. I'm probably going to go for a second-hand set of 600 LT stroke 720 calipers, because you can pick those up on eBay relatively cheap, and that will enable a use of a much bigger rotor. But yeah, I really made up with the car, performs brilliantly. I haven't really noticed any other performance differences, so fuel consumption's very similar, in that it's quite economical, really. Does about, maybe gets to 30 to the gallon when you're just sort of cruising on motorways, but when you floor it, it drinks like a fish. With regards to running temperatures and all that, they all seem extremely comparable. So yeah guys, brilliant upgrade. We got there in the end. Quite a lot of messing around, but the car is now insanely amazing. So really happy with it, until of course I get the itch again. So see you next time, guys. We've got some winter projects lined up, obviously the brake project, and like a crazy man I'm also looking into fuel pump improvement, because I have hardware in the car now. It's capable of more than what it's doing, and I figured for the sake of a fuel pump, might as well use it. So see you next time, guys, and thanks very much for tuning in.